Okay, so I've blocked in some green to represent the leaves on this particular camellia. This, as you can see, immediately it sets off the edge of the petals, which is great. But also I wanted to just show how to just drop in that touch of green to represent the transparent petals. So this is now dry. That's good. This is now dry here. So what we'll do is just re-wet this petal, and as you see, I'm actually wetting the whole of the petal, just so that we don't get any tide lines. And it's not soaking wet; it's just a nice moist layer. Make sure I wet everything. So we don't want it too wet because we don't want the green to rush everywhere, and we don't want it too dry because we don't want to leave brush strokes. So according to my reference photo, there's just a touch of green here. It just seems to stain the petal. This petal is obviously curling away from the leaf, so when something's curling away from the leaf, you won't see the green. You'll only see the green where the petal actually touches the leaf. So I'm just going to put a little bit of green in there. And that is probably enough. Don't know if you can see that clearly. Let's take it away from the edge. All right, so I'm just going to leave that to dry. Just going down to this area here where the leaf is just touching, or the petal is just touching the leaf on the edge here. All right, pick up a little bit of green. Okay, I'm leaving it at that. So hopefully when that dries, all it'll do is give a tinge of green to those leaves. Now, I've also dropped in a bit of the shadow color around some of the other petals here. And I'm going to now use a slightly warmer yellow in these central areas. We used a Windsor lemon, I think, over here. But in here, I'm actually going to use a little touch of quinacridone gold on top of my shadow. So the shadow acts as it normally does, as a shadow, and the gold just warms it. So you can see immediately we've got that rather nice warmth to the center. Now, if that's not strong enough, because it will dry a little lighter, then you can, of course, wait for it to dry and then add a little more. I mean, you can add a little more of the shadow color if necessary, or a little more of the gold. Now, this petal here also has a little bit of the warm here, so again, just going to just wet it slightly. And drop just a little quin gold just under there. So you can see how the center of the camellia is starting to sort of develop this warmth, which is what we want. Now, you can spread this out if you like, or use a bit of a feathering technique if necessary to bring it down into any of the other areas. Okay, this area here again, just dampen it. And a little touch of the quin gold here, and we'll just dry the brush off and drag it down slightly. Okay, now that particular petal also seems to have a slightly pinky tone, a warm tone, so I'm going to let that dry before I do anything else to it. The other thing is to make sure that you remove some of your graphite if you're going to add your paint, because unfortunately, no matter how delicate the paint is, the graphite line will still come through if it gets painted over. It just acts like a fixative. Now, I've left the line a little bit strong here. Now, this particular petal is a wee bit complicated, so I'm going to wet it a lot and leave it for a few minutes just so that I've got a little bit of time to deal with all the fiddly bits. What else? Okay, I'm not going to have time to actually do the center today, so as I said to you before, I think it's probably a good idea to mask it, even though a lot of the stamens are darker than the background. However, what we do find is that there is a subtle background color that'll be very difficult to get in between without masking that area. The other thing is just to, when you're working your way around the edges of the petals here, little touches of the shadow color will define the edge. Remember, this is the front of the petal and it's closer to us, so the stronger colors, the greater shadows, etc., etc., need to be on this side, the more contrast on this side, and then this we want to sort of fade away a little bit softer if possible. Okay, I'm just looking now at this area. That quinacridone gold has sunk away slightly, so just taking a little bit on my brush, and I'm going to just feather a bit more in. So again, using these nice Taklon brushes, which apparently are on sale at Seniors at the moment, we can just feather in any extra color that we need. Just don't leave lines with your brush. Okay, I might just do that funny little petal. We can do that before I stop the video. So this is just a little bit frilly. So if you've got to deal with something that's slightly frilly, the paper needs to be soaked and then the surface dried off so the paint doesn't go everywhere. And we'll just deal with the edge here. Okay, a dry brush will just soften all that We can go back into it a bit later on if possible. While it's still damp, I might just drop a little bit of Queen Gold in here. That's a bit much, so let's take some of that away. Okay. All right, that's all for today.